Well, I'm trying a new path here with this divorce dominance page. One of the main things was in the early days, I had a hard time, uh, you know, being able to focus on the videos and focus on everything that I wanted to get across. Um, I made the ones with the information that I had, and I was trying to do it in a series, which I feel like was working okay. But in all reality, it was just time to like sit down in my office and actually do the work that was needed. Took too much time. And from there, I couldn't be consistent on my uploads. I couldn't be consistent on my information. I couldn't be consistent on anything, really, for that matter. It was a struggle to, get my kids up in the morning, get them to the bus, get to work on time, do my job, come home, do my workout, provide the information I was hoping to provide to my past self that I could not find when I needed it. So it was very important to me to get this information out there, and finding time to do so is step one. So after trying to make that work and trying to, force that time, and it not working, obviously, as there was a huge gap in content, information, and uploads, I decided just to, stop trying to do the prototypical thing, which is sit in front of a camera and talk and just do the daily stuff. Do the things that I continue to do right now that I used to do back then that I had to honestly fumble fuck my way through. And so I'm just going to do it here. So this is what this is going to start to be like. The two biggest things were honestly walking around in my garage as I'm doing so and talking myself through half this stuff, and trying to find threads to pull on, and also doing the workout, the physical movements. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what we're doing here. So I'm in my garage on a typical afternoon. Sometimes this is going to be, 4 in the morning. Sometimes this is going to be 3 in the afternoon. Sometimes it'll be 12 at night. I don't know. But it's just the routines that I get to be able to fit into my life. I've gotten a pretty decent one now, but that's kind of where it's come. So from there, I'm just going to kind of free think, let things kind of go. I'll kind of talk about the workouts I'm doing, because that's kind of part of this whole thing too, as we start to grow this together. It's going to be not only a think tank, but also the physical growth. I want to make sure that, you're springboarding yourself to the highest capability that you can, be. And that is mentally, and that is physically, that is emotionally, that is spiritually. It's all of it. This is just going to kind of be a big, just dump tank and pull from what you need. Hopefully, as time goes, questions arise, things start to come up that I can start to zero in on. If people have that, we'll have a whole discussion about that. But, from now, this is what it's going to be. So starting from day one again, the biggest thing for me was knowing I needed to stay busy just because. But, well, that's actually a little forward too. Really, day one was, once the whole divorce came to be, it was something that I was completely just unequipped to handle. It was something that I had actually focused my entire life on making sure it didn't happen. And by doing so, uninformed, by the way, without any sort of knowledge back or anything like that, I thought I was doing a thing that would work. In all reality, I was not doing anything. I was just doing, the reps to hopefully not have a divorce. I didn't ask anybody. I didn't talk to anybody about what went wrong. I didn't do anything like that. I just did what was my definition of not getting a divorce, which was trying to be successful, trying to, be the best man I could be to the, at the time, wife, and then also the father to my children. Again, didn't search out anything, didn't go off anything, just went off my own stuff, which ultimately led me to where I am today, which is divorced. So having said that, that is not the outcome that I was shooting for, but that's the outcome that I got. But it's very easy to see looking back because I didn't do the steps necessary to, not end up here. So, but now I've done those steps. I've done those things. Things are a lot different now, but that's for a later story or for a later day. But that first day of once it was reality that okay, oh wow, we're getting divorced. I'm on my own. Nothing that I had done in the past I could really lean on because I'd never been in this situation before. That was the time that I started asking the men in my life, what did you do? Where did you go? What did you like? How did you get through this? And I got the stereotypical response that I'm sure most of you have heard or even told other people, to be honest, before you were in that space, or even if you have been in that space, you heard it so much that it got implanted into you that it's the default answer, which is just put your head down and get to work. Just bury yourself in your job. Just try to distract yourself. Surface level, that seems like a good answer. You feel like, oh wow, okay, yeah, you know what? I get that. Because if I dwell on the problem and just, drown in it, well, that's just that. You are drowning in the problem. So we don't want to do that. But also, as you look deeper into that surface level answer, you realize real quick that it's just that. It's just surface level. If you don't dive deep into what you're feeling, what's going on, what happened, what you're doing, what you're shooting for, where you're going, any of that, who you are as a person, if you don't dive deep into any of that, you will lose yourself. Again, I guess actually the better way to say that is you'll never find yourself, which is, in all reality, the ultimate goal, is to find yourself. So from there, when I kept hearing that surface level answer, I got so tired of hearing it. I couldn't accept it as an answer anymore because it didn't mean anything. It just meant get to work. What do you mean get to work? What do you mean go pour myself into my job? Like I was the guy that I was doing extra things to make money, do all that, whatever, all the different pieces that I thought were making me whole, but I never took the time to understand what I was doing it for, what I wanted, what the outcome was. So pour myself into my job is what I was doing already to my best, to my knowledge, the best that I could. From there, it just wasn't a task as easy to do that. It wasn't, let me just go to work and work harder. Like I was a hard-working person. It wasn't like I was lazy. So it just didn't make sense. So I hated that answer. I got it so much. Sorry, I'm expanding too far, but I hated it. It's too vanilla. It wasn't direct enough. It's vague. It was one of those answers at first that seem like it's spot on with knowledge, but it's just vague. And I ran the typical course of hearing it so many times. I kept trying, kept doing that, and all I kept finding myself doing was, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, if I'm being totally vulnerable here, which I plan on being, hopefully, it's all I found myself doing was finding a corner in my job to just break down, to find myself being extra depressed in what was now a public space that I tried. Sorry, guys, got cut off there. Didn't realize it. I'm using my phone this first time. We got a camera I need to set up, but it was one of those. Each time I set something up, it was just more day specific. It didn't matter. But what I was doing was I was trying to find myself somewhere to hide in these jobs. And at that point, I'm just lying to my employer. I'm lying to my business partners. I'm lying to my coworkers. At the end of the day, I'm lying to myself. I'm getting depressed more and more. I'm sitting there feeling completely alone with no one to turn to. Not that there wasn't options, but I was too busy listening to the advice that wasn't good. I was too busy shoving myself into a corner. I was too busy isolating myself. And that just wasn't what I needed. It wasn't what I wanted. But it's what I felt like I should do because it's what I was told. And I just found myself wandering. So from that moment on, I realized that in those super, super dark days, well, I didn't even think I'd be standing here because tomorrow was so far out of reach. I couldn't have imagined, years down the road being here, trying to help my former self get through this, which hopefully is just anybody else at that moment. But I knew that the goal was to get to tomorrow. How was I going to get to tomorrow? That was my first biggest thing. How can I get to tomorrow? Holy crap. And that went on for a while. But I knew that the only thing I could do was find an anchor. I need to anchor myself to something to be able to want to get to tomorrow. What is that anchor? What is that deal that'll allow my ship, myself, my boat, my little raft was all that I had, from floating away in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day when I'm trying to survive? So I needed to find that anchor. That anchor for me, it ranged. It was something one day, maybe another thing another day. Sometimes it lasted for a week, the one anchor. Other times I had to float daily. But one of the consistents was one of my biggest advantages, but also one of my biggest catalyst, I guess would be the word, was my kids. I had these beautiful children, 3 of them, that were worth pushing through tomorrow. But also, the complete duality of it was that I felt like nothing. I felt like nobody. I felt like I was worthless, and I didn't want to be that figure on them. So then at times I would fight the urge of wanting to be there for them with the complete opposite urge of, I'm not the man they need. They need anybody else. I need to disappear. I can't put this on them. I can't let them think that this is okay. So at times I would want to disappear, which is embarrassing to say now. But it was a real thought. It was a real thing that I dealt with. So sometimes they were my anchor. Other times it was just a bet with myself. Other times it was just my physical condition had went downhill so far, so fast, that I just needed to prove to myself that I could do it again. That who I was in this moment isn't who I was going to be later. It just couldn't be that. So I would find myself thinking that this is unacceptable. This will not be the case. This is not an option. So from there, I'm kind of wandering here. But from there, once I had that anchor, once I had that thing I could hold on to, I tried to tie myself to it the best that I could. And by tying myself to it, I mean the skills I had learned along the way of my life, the few that I had towards this, obstacle that I'm dealing with. They weren't really that good, but I had to find a thing to tie myself to that anchor. And from there was a very, very big realization that I don't have anything to tie myself to it. I literally only have my physical body. So when I'm sitting on this pile of debris that was my life, floating, the only thing I can do is literally physically hold onto that anchor. And what I mean by that is I wasn't able to tie to it. I wasn't able to walk away from it and fall asleep. I wasn't able to disconnect from it. I had to physically hold on to it, which meant a lot of sleepless nights. So from those sleepless nights, the reason I said it's because when I would fall asleep at times, my mind would just wander into horrible dreams, horrible nightmares, situations I thought were real that just weren't. They were things that just they weren't real. They didn't exist, but boy, my mind, it knew how to play with me. It knew all my weaknesses, it knew all my strengths, and it didn't use any of my strengths. It used all my weaknesses to try to revert back to what it thought was safe, which was the past. For me, that wasn't an option. It was done. So I would physically have to stay up nights sometimes until a couple of days would go, then I would just pretty much pass out. But the nights that I had to stay up because my mind would just go crazy, I would need to stay busy. So that goes back to what I was talking about in the beginning. They're not wrong with the advice of dive into something, stay busy, lose yourself in work. The problem is that they don't have any useful things to go along with that. No advice really, other than just stay busy. What's that mean? Well, for me, when those nights would roll around, well, in the early days, I'd be sleeping at my mom's house. Or I would sleep in my truck. It didn't matter. That's what I'd be doing. So those sleepless nights sometimes would mean clean your area. So that'd be clean mom's house. I'm in my 30s, by the way, when this is happening. Super embarrassing. Not fun to be in your 30s with 3 kids sleeping next to your mommy in the bedroom that's right next to hers. You talk about regression. That's a big one. But I would clean her house. I would just clean and clean and clean. Same with my truck. When I would sleep in my truck, I would just clean and clean and clean it. And until I could pass out for what sometimes was a couple hours, sometimes was 30 minutes, sometimes wasn't for a day or more, which is not healthy. That is not the thing to keep doing, but is the thing that I had to do in that moment to get me through. That is the down part to this situation. You got to do some things that you were not willing to do in the past. You got to get very real with yourself. Things are tough. Things are not easy. You will be doing hard things. But on those nights, as I got to cleaning, the other thing too was people would say, yeah, but you can only clean something so many times. You're right, you can. Only so many times. But define what cleaning is. Get deeper into it. Pour yourself into it. Get lost. Stay busy. This is where we define what it means to stay busy. Stay active. When you clean, did you sweep? Did you mop? Did you clean the windows? Did you clean the ceiling? Did you clean the fans? Did you open up the return vents and clean out that? Did you do all that? Because that's what cleaning is. Did you pull out the dishwasher? Did you pull out the washer and dryer? Did you do all that stuff and clean in all the spots? Like I'm talking get deep, get lost, get obsessed, which will come in later, I promise you. But that's what I had to do in these first days. That's what was me physically holding on. So once I got clear on that, and I genuinely couldn't clean anymore, and I was starting to get past that, moment was, okay, what can I dive into next? Where is that going? What's happening here? I'm not I'm not going to start a cleaning business. That's not where I'm going with this. It's just what was happening there? What was making me get through the night in the act of start dissecting? That's what I had to do. At the time, I didn't know that. At the time, I had no clarity. I had nobody speaking to me in this way. I had nobody speaking from a frame of reference that was actually usable, applicable. It wasn't a thing. Nobody was doing it. So I'm saying this now, and it seems very like, oh, wow, he seemed to just know what to do. No, I didn't. I didn't know shit. I struggled for days and days and days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and months. Months is where I drew the line in some of these phases, but that was it. But from there, it was, okay, well, why am I able to get through the night when I'm doing this task? Well, again, tying it back to the original thought of just get busy, get engulfed, put your head down and work. That kind of was true. What's happening here? Oh, I'm what they say is working. I'm getting lost in something. They would say work. They usually meant job because it was, again, surface level. What I realized was it didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter if it was cleaning, if it was moving around, if it was driving, if it was going on a walk, a run, a workout, stay up late and work on something. It was me staying busy, but in reality, it was me moving. It was me being active. It was me doing a thing. Moving being the key part. Physically getting up and moving. That was the first realization I had to what the hell is going on. Again, this is not the day after the divorce. This is literally weeks and weeks and weeks and months, to be honest, of sleeping / not sleeping in my truck or my mom's house while I fucked my way through. How do I get a house? How do I feed my family? How do I do this? How do I make sure I have my kids, every so often? How do I navigate this divorce so I don't lose everything? How do I keep myself sane and not just go on a huge hateful binge of the people that I felt at that time had wronged me? Moving, staying active. That was the epiphany. So from there, it became easier. So going back to the cleaning, I was done cleaning. What else could I do? Well, I know damn well I could do some push-ups. It doesn't hurt you? Staying fit. What doesn't hurt you? Moving, lifting heavy things, running, jogging, walking, doing aerobics, anything. If I was in that low state, I had to interrupt, I had to pattern interrupt. Get up, move, do something. Jumping jacks, I don't care. Well, it's kind of late, mom's asleep, I can't do this. Cool, good for you. Guess what? Grab your mobile bench, which actually, by the way, right there, this mobile bench right here is the one that got me through almost everything. I still have it. It's super rickety. Like the bottom's all broke out of it. Like everything's torn. The bottom pin's broke, but I hold on to it for a lot of reasons, and that's one of them. It's got a lot of significance. But this was in the garage. This wasn't even, anywhere near. And I had some Bowflex dumbbells. Those right there. What I had. That was it. So I would get up at midnight, 1, 2, sometimes not even get up. I would just be up still and not go to bed. So I would just go out to the garage and do stuff. Push-ups, jumping jacks, jumping around, flies, bench press, squats, goblet squats, all the different things you can do with dumbbells and a mobile bench. That's all I did. Again, days and days, weeks and weeks, months and months. In between there, focusing on cleaning the house. In between there, focusing on cleaning my truck. Making sure things stayed clean and organized in my life because I needed to stay active. It wasn't even because I was a clean freak again. It was just because I had to do something. I had to stay active. So I wasn't willing to break that because I knew how dark it could get when I did nothing. I tested that multiple times. One of them, I damn near failed. And I knew if I took that test again, I wouldn't fail twice. Not because I wouldn't allow myself to fail twice, because fate wouldn't allow me to fail twice. I cheated it once, and there's no way I could get away with it again. From there, it just wasn't an option. Stay busy, stay moving. There was nights, there was days that it was hard. I fought it. There was nights I would go halfway through the night and say, I don't want to work out. I'm this, I'm that, I'm sore. Because everything I'd read was, if you're sore, don't work out. That was for optimal situations. I was in an extremely suboptimal situation. So from there, I just did it. And again, there's nights I'd go halfway through the night, trying to, tell myself, oh, you're doing enough and whatever else. But I would get up. I would do it. And just that was it. That was it. There was no do it. I tried to cheat it multiple times. I tried to push the limits. I tried to push the boundaries. It just didn't work. There was no getting around it. I had to do the thing. Staying active, movement, extreme actions is what got me through those nights and those evenings. Those are the things that I did to make it work. Those are the things that allowed me to get through my nights and to my next days. That was my anchor. Those were my things that I had to hold on to. Those were, that's how I tied myself. That was my string. Those are my skills that I only had to hold on to. Where I didn't know mentally what to do, so I had to struggle through it, and I figured out that. Stay active, stay moving. Because I knew that enough people were saying something, again, going all the way back to the beginning to tie it into a full time. Ultimately, hopefully close this loop is have accountability. Do something, get actions. And it took me a while to figure that out, but no one was telling me what that meant. So I'm here. I'm telling you what that meant. And that was do something physically. Get active, move. Stop finding all the reasons you can't and just find one that you will, that you can't not do. For me, it was making it to the next day. That was the anchor. I had to make it to the next day. And I anchored that thought into my children. I anchored that thought into my body sometimes. I anchored that thought into, let's be real, the motherfuckers that told me I couldn't. If I'm getting real honest, in the early days, which this has changed a bunch, I have to say that now and very clearly, because this is not something I hold on to. As a matter of fact, the only reason I'm going to say this is because it did work in the beginning, but it is embarrassing to say now because it wasn't the truth. But I hated her. I hated my ex-wife in that moment. I had to tie myself to the anchor of her being filled with regret. She made a decision that was going to haunt her for the rest of life because I was going to be the best thing that ever came along and that she passed up on. That anybody else in the world that came into my path, into my world, into my vicinity would be better for even just being around me, let alone starting a family with me, getting to grow with me. She knew that she had the inner circle. That was my goal. She knew she fucked up. And I not only was going to make sure that was known in an emotional state, because the way I functioned, and the way I thought mentally, and the way I moved spiritually, but the way I looked physically through activity. Now it's worth noting that in that moment, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, I didn't know what that meant. I just knew I was going to get there. I had to put labels on something because I didn't know how the hell to shoot the gun. I just needed to have the target. I'll figure the rest out later. First was movement. So that's it. Those were the first days. The anchor. Find the anchor to get through to tomorrow. Once that anchor is found, tie yourself to that anchor. Somehow, if you have skills that have gotten you through rough time, call upon them. Don't take them for granted. Use them. That's time in. That's stuff earned. You've earned it. Use them. But I'm gonna be honest with you. The mind that has created the problem is not the mind that can fix the problem. So know that you are limited by your current capabilities and your current skill set. You must learn, you must grow, you must acquire. Hold tight to that anchor. Make it to tomorrow, brother. It's worth it. We'll go a little bit deeper on that tomorrow. That's really a good spot to stop because it's a good area for the day. On the other side of this, the reason I was talking about mixing things is because now you see me doing this workout. This is how this is going to go as well. The workout is what helped me. I didn't have all this before. I slowly acquired it over time. I've had to put some of it in storage because I still can't put it up yet. Not because financially I couldn't, it's just prices of things are too much. I want to build a barn. And that stuff's expensive right now. So from there, I'm doing it in my garage. This is my workout area. This is what I do. And that's it. So one of the biggest things is again, going back to the actionable side, I don't want this just to be, hey, let me talk at some stuff and really not have this be a thing that's useful. Hopefully, other than the plates clinking around and, maybe the loud noises that I can hopefully toy with when I download this video. Hopefully you can just listen to this during your day and you can connect with it is what my goals are. And then later, if you want, you can watch it again. You can actually sit down and watch it if you have time and do the workout because this is my daily workout. This is what I do. I figured out what works for me, which will be different for you. It can be the same, but it probably won't be the exact same. But this is a huge part of my day and a huge part of my life now. As I learned a lot, this has really helped everything. But one thing you'll notice in this video by itself is I'm doing a lot of different movements. I focus on full body now. I used to do the, push-pull legs, upper-lower split, bro splits, which were one muscle group at a time, maybe twice a week. Now, I just focus on full body. Because currently, what am I? 30, 37? Yeah, 37. Yeah. So, I can't push as hard as I used to. So the bro splits, the single muscle groups, it's harder. Not only from a muscular development side, but from a recovery side as well, actually is worth saying, because you're there to annihilate the muscle for multiple reps, there are multiple sets, there are multiple exercises of that one muscle group. So it's hard. But in reality, it's time. It's time, man. I'm busy. I got a job, single dad, 3 kids. They're young. They're 12, 9, and 5. So, I've been divorced for a few years now. So, subtract that out too. They're even younger and functioning in space. They're busy in sports. They're busy growing up, and I need to be there for them as a strong figure, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all that. I can't be whining to my kids broke down and expect them to be anything other than whiny and broke down. So the exercise has been super important. So the full body allows me to at least work out, extreme minimum, twice a week. That's pretty rare. But then I can hit every body part at least twice in a close to maximal effort. In reality, the way I do it, which I'll break this down a little further, more, but just in a broad scope now for this first one, again, because I love it, dude. I love this. Hopefully your love whatever is something else, but you can incorporate strength because it does make you a healthier human. But this is my opinion ultimately. It doesn't mean I'm going to stand here with science. I don't care enough to back all that up. I've seen it. You can look it up. But I work out 6 days a week in a full body routine. The way I break it down is time and sets and what's most important and, programs and periodization. All that I pack into this in the way that works for me. So try to work out the ones that take the most amount of sets. I try to prioritize them first, and I break them down to 3 tiers, 1, 2, and 3. Some of the ones that are the most important take the most reps. So actually, as I'm saying this, so I try to make sure I get a breather in here, I have this whiteboard that literally shows abs, backs, bis, tris, calves, chest, front delts, glutes, hams, quads, rear/side delts and traps. And you see my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You also see these numbers over here, which we'll get into this deeper, but the ones are my first priority, the twos are my second priority, and threes are my third priority. Monday, you see what I did. Those are the ones I did Monday. Tuesday, I did these ones. Wednesday, we're here. I'm in the middle of doing these right now. You saw me do abs, you saw me do back, you saw me do buys. I'm now working on chest. This is what works for me. And I think it'll benefit you as well. Because if you're anything like me, you got to figure out your time. But anyways, that is what the fitness is. That's what this whole thing's about. And that's it. That's where I go with this. And I go as far as I can within a certain amount of time. If I take too long, which today's taking a lot longer because I'm talking, I'm trying to mess with the camera, trying to do all that. And it just takes me longer because I'm trying to figure out when does my phone camera stop recording, because it only records these little blasts at a time. Sometimes it's 9 minutes, sometimes it's 6 minutes, sometimes it's 3 minutes, who knows. This is why I'm walking back and forth. I'm kind of breathing heavy because I don't have a good cadence down. I'm learning. So you should be doing something. I'm learning in this. I'm learning how to hopefully help my past self the best I can. So having said that, I'm about done now. I literally did abs first, then I did back, then I did biceps, now I'm doing chest. That will be the end of it for me. Normally I would probably sneak in 2 more muscle groups for the full body. I'd try to like quads and rear and side delts would definitely be one of them that I'm trying to get in. I actually got out of order here, didn't I? I shouldn't be doing chest right now. I should be doing rear and side delts. We'll see. That's the learning part. I jumped one, ended up on chest. Crap. Oh well, it didn't matter. That's the other good thing is I know I hit it. One more set to go. You need to push yourself too, but I can come back and I might start my day off tomorrow with shoulders, specifically rear and side delts, because that's the one, or that's the workout that is part of priority 1. A quick side note too with all this, outside of which workouts I'm picking, is pushing yourself to, like I said, to an almost failure situation. Like I'm here by myself. There's nobody else here. So I'm moving around the camera myself. This is gonna be awful edits. I'm gonna try to edit it so it's not garbage for you. But it's me by myself. So if I lose the bar onto myself, well, luckily I have safety bars built into this squat rack. Having said that, this wasn't always here. This was not always a thing for me. So I try to find myself pushing to close to failure. And by close to failure, I mean like where there's like 2 reps left in the tank. Like if I pick a weight that'll allow me to get to, 8 reps to where I think I might be able to get 2 more, that's where I'm stopping. Because it's where I'm seeing the most growth. It's where I'm getting the most out of this on what is now a pretty structured diet. It wasn't always that way. But at the end of the day, just a guy goes to work, does random odd jobs to try to make extra money, and is trying to help out his former self. I'm trying to create the man that I needed and, give him to the world ultimately. So from there, I'm going to expand on anything and everything a lot deeper. Again, this is going to be a bit of just an explosion of thoughts and random crap, to be honest. I'm probably going to get sidetracked and get off course, just like I did with the workout program where I'm supposed to be doing rear and side delts right now, but I'm doing chest for whatever reason. It's the default, right? International Chest Days every day, every moment, apparently. But that's just it, guys. So like I said, if you have questions, you have concerns, or if you're dealing with something specifically that's not what I'm talking about exactly right now, I promise you I've been through it. I've been through it. Like, you're not alone. I felt like I was alone. In reality, I wasn't. There just wasn't a space like this that existed for specifically divorced men. My situation, 100% specifically, so it's transparent again, because I don't want it to be vague at all, was finding out that there was extracurricular marital activities happening that I wasn't aware of. I know now that I added to that situation in certain ways, not directly, but indirectly. But at the time, I felt like I was wronged. So you're not alone, all right? Let me check the time here too, make sure the camera's not off. But you're not alone. We're here together. I'm here for you. I promise you. Reach out. I'm trying to build a Twitter page. That way, if someone wants to tweet something, they can, or X, I guess is what it's called now. I don't play the social media game, to be honest. I'm trying to, but I don't want this to turn into some business garbage. Because I keep getting dick faces approach me, to be honest, and say, "Hey, you should build this. Hey, you should build that. Hey, you should do this. You can monetize this." Fuck off. There's going to be things along the way that can happen and how we can all help each other. But honestly, right now, it's just about helping motherfuckers out. And that's what I'm here to do. Help people out. I needed it, and it wasn't there. Everyone wanted money right away to just come and hang out, build friends, come join my group for $100, $200, $300 a month, and we don't do shit other than sit and talk on a Zoom call. There's no real cadence. There's no real outcome. It's just, hey, we're a bunch of dudes. Yeah, we got groups in here. But we're not really working towards shit. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to be your therapist. Fuck that. Let's work towards some shit. Let's do something big together. So having said that, man, that was the last set. That was it right there. I'm done. I gotta wrap things up because I gotta go get my kids. I'm busy, man. Chase Gick for Divorced Dominance Brothers. You're here together. Let's do this. See you next time.